KB made it home from Washington. You survived. KB was just on the front lines of the environmental struggle in DC. So, well, hello, everybody. Good morning, class. Oh dear, we're in trouble. Huh? That's a first, right? Did anybody in this room see the play? It was a long time ago. It was a Catholic school classroom, and it was,
Nonsense.
I think so. It was like there was a nun. It was like it was being in school, and the night that I was there, someone in the audience was chewing gum, and she had to bring that down here. It was the real thing. Took me right back. Well, who's here for the first time? Good folks, yes. You're very brave, young people, coming to do something like this with grown-ups sitting quietly. Your parents are bold. Welcome. We will have a children's program again before too long. There's more than rumblings, there's actually action happening. Do think about staying afterwards. We're having a potluck. So we haven't had a potluck in quite some time. Well, I'm Robert Beatty. This is Jim Dalton, who will be doing some movement practice for us. On drums, we have Dan Leif. And keyboards, we have Paul, and the two of them are making the broadcast work, I think. Looks like it is. Laura, it was Laura who was greeting you at the door and letting you in. So we come here with a very specific intention, which is to wake up. And we might as well do it right now. So let's just be aware that we're here. No fancy technique, no years of practice, just, oh, right. How come I didn't notice this all along? Well, it's because it's too obvious. So I have a practice I like to do of reading a poem to begin. Usually, hopefully, a poem that's somewhat in keeping with our practice. I misplaced my everyday glasses, so I don't have my distance view. You're all just a trifle blurry. But I have my computer glasses, so I put them on the computer, it becomes very clear. And you're more blurry, but it'll be fine. So I have a poem. I received this just recently. Many years ago, I had the opportunity to do a couple of men's workshops with Robert Bly and Michael Meade and James Hillman and some other marvelous humans. And Bly, great poet of our time, read a poem the first time, and he said something like, well, now we know what the bones of this poem are. Let's hear what its heart says. So I almost always repeat a poem. And you don't need to grab on. It's by someone called Jenny Couzyn, Couzyn, and it's called A Death in Winter. Beside the exit, seated at a table, is a gray clerk with a ledger. At his feet is a kind of box, a trunk perhaps, a hope chest, or a rubbish bin. Cross-legged in the doorway, my friend sits, watching light stream in through the opening. It soaks her in beauty. She has given back her future. In character, neatly folded, she placed it carefully in the box, and the clerk ticked it off. Now she takes off her feet like shoes gently, one beside the other. She takes her speech and returns it syllable by syllable. She unpicks it thoroughly, like knitting unravels in one, like knitting unravels it, one plain, one pearl, meaning by meaning. She gives back her hands, lays them down in the box with a smile. There's no regret in her. She knows their excellence. And now she gives back continence, choices, understanding the strange comings and goings about her. Everything she returns is fine and cared for. The clerk ticks it all off with his ledger. She's hardly human now. She is almost entirely love. She's given back her children, and very little of the personal is left in her heart. To the left of the doorway is a linen basket. A plump girl laughing kneels beside it. She is handing out gifts to the souls who come trooping in through the opening like sunlight. Hands to grip a finger, feet to walk, the first smile, Mama, Papa, I want, I think, all the trappings of this journey. My friend smiles across at the girl as if she were a daughter. The radiance streams in and over her. Soon she will take off the last of her body and step out into the stillness. A Death in Winter. Beside the exit, seated at a table, is a gray clerk with a ledger. At his feet is a kind of box, a trunk perhaps, a hope chest or a rubbish bin. Cross-legged in the doorway, my friend sits, watching light stream in through the opening. It soaks her in beauty. She's given back her future. In character, neatly folded, she placed it carefully in the box, and the clerk ticked it off. Now she takes off her feet like shoes, gently, one beside the other. She takes her speech and returns it syllable by syllable. She unpacks it thoroughly like knitting unravels it, one plain, one pearl. Meaning by meaning, she gives back her hands, lays them down in the box with a smile. There is no regret in her. She knows their excellence, and now she gives back continence, choices, understanding the strange comings and goings about her. Everything she returns is fine and cared for. The clerk ticks it all off in his ledger. She is hardly human now. She is almost entirely love. That's a fine pair of lines, isn't it? She's hardly human now. She's almost entirely love. She's given back her children, and very little of the personal is left in her heart. To the left of the doorway is a linen basket. A plump girl laughing kneels beside it. She is handing out gifts to the souls who come trooping in through the opening like sunlight. Hands to grip a finger, feet to walk, the first smile. Mama, Papa, I want, I think, all the trappings of the journey. My friend smiles across at the girl as if she were a daughter. The radiance streams in and over her, and soon she will take off the last of her body and step out into the stillness. Hello, dear friends on Zoom. Lovely of you to join us. So, Let's stop. Let's stop trying to get somewhere. Let's stop trying to be good. Good this is and that's. We might stop in a familiar Buddhist quote way, which is to take refuge in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. I take refuge in being awake. I take refuge in what actually is, aside from the fantasies. So it includes the fantasies. I take refuge in the Sangha, the community of practice, and the lineage, the community of those who've gone before us and followed this very same path. And so here we sit. And one of the things we notice rather quickly, if we pay attention, is that the body is alive and breathing. The hands are alive too. The feet are alive. The thighs are alive. The face is alive. Each breath appears out of nowhere. Just like that first one did when your mother could no longer breathe for you. It begins, it rises to fullness, it declines, and then it vanishes. And we can use this metronome of our life as a sort of home base in the midst of all the cacophony of thoughts and feelings and emotions and activities. most likely. Most likely the mind has some other plans, thinking, planning, remembering. The 5 hindrances in their various costumes. Restlessness, agitation, and worry come onto the stage, take over for a while. Or maybe liking or wanting, grasping, craving, or disliking. Maybe sleepy dullness, or maybe doubt. Nothing wrong with any of these. They're the landscape. They're the internal decorations of a human mind. And so we come back, we make such a gentle but persistent effort to abide, in the actual sensations of in-breathing and out-breathing. There is, of course, much more to this practice than mindfulness. There's the strengthening of concentration. Every time you come back to the breath and stay there for a moment or 10, it strengthens your ability to concentrate. Every time the mind wanders and wakes up is strengthening mindfulness. Every time you're curious about what's going on is strengthening curiosity and investigation. It's a very unusual thing in our time, in our culture, to be interested in turning inward. we're very focused outward, which of course is all about survival. It's also based in the mistaken belief that we can find happiness and contentment through the sense doors, through consuming. So with curiosity and a willingness, and it becomes kind of a passion for inner investigation, we could ask ourselves, what is the nature of this mind right now? Is it calm and tranquil and kind of happy to be here, doing nothing or next to nothing? Is it contracted? Is it unhappy? Is it angry perhaps, or confused, struggling? Is the energy in the mind balanced and wide awake, or is there some pull towards sleepy dullness? Is the mind calm or restless and agitated? And as we do this, we can notice also, is there judgment? Well, the mind should be concentrated, or it shouldn't be this, or should be that. And we shift time and again into a position of acceptance. Oh, it's like this. Planting seeds of equanimity and ease. And each breath goes through its cycle from beginning to middle to ending. It is an act of great kindness to yourself and your loved ones, and in fact to the world, to stop and sit like this. To cultivate a mind that's open to everything, which we could call a mind of love. Because in love, there's room for everything. And so, with very deliberate and delicate persistence, whenever you discover the mind has wandered off, with no haste at all, simply redirect awareness back to the sensations of breathing in and out. we don't sit still very often, for good reason. Because the body reveals its tensions, its aches. When one of these tensions or aches or pains emerges into consciousness, we can just notice it. It's like, oh, there's that unpleasant. We come back to breathing. If it persists, however, we then quite intentionally turn awareness directly into the discomfort or the pain. This is the paradigm for awakening. And we learn to turn toward more and more profound challenges. With a pain in the leg, we can notice pain, returning to the breath. With a psychological pain, we can notice suffering or sadness or fear. And stop running away from it, instead turning towards it. With the intention, noticing how things come and go. And really of being here right now in this moment in breathing. And this foundational practice is one of letting go of everything ultimately, putting our feet aside, our personality aside, and opening into our vast beingness. There's another polarity in which we acknowledge, well, it does appear that I'm here. And so we take very good care of this appearance of self. We might do a simple practice of, I love you with your name at the end. I love you. I intend to accept you exactly as you are. Phew, that's quite an intention, isn't it? I intend to accept you as you are, exactly as you are. And we could imagine easily, I think, sending that same wish out. It's not so much to affect the world as to affect our own hearts. I want to live with the intention and the attitude that all beings are my friends. I have no enemies. And so what might one think to send to say about everyone in this room, everyone on Zoom at this meeting? May you be happy. May you be free from fear and danger. May you live with ease and grace. And we might as well go really large, all beings. May everyone, everything, every creature that's ever been born, that's alive now, may we all know happiness, the causes of happiness, and suffering, the end of suffering, and the path leading to the end of suffering. In a few moments, a gong will ring. Let's use that to remind us to be present, to be awake. And then to mindfully observe the process of intending to open the eyes and then letting the eyes open and then seeing. Quite something to do it slowly. So there's 49 people on Zoom and about 55 in the room, I would guess, in this room. It is a little frustrating to not have the right glasses. I can see you on Zoom now, and I can sort of see you in the room. How you doing, kids? It's a long time to sit, isn't it? Yeah, boy. I think you get to do something really fun and extravagant this afternoon. Well, I have one announcement of which I'm aware, and I've got several. I want to invite several of you up if you want. Candle, I think tonight's the first Sunday of the month, isn't it? So at 6:30, Candle Summers will be doing her online meditation group. And also at 6:30, our Be Queer Now group begins every Sunday. And the May the 20th is a day-long retreat for everyone who is a monthly donor. So this is our manipulation to get you to become a monthly donor. And not only that, if you become a monthly donor, you get our fancy new cup and a special bag with PIMC on the side. And yeah, and once a year we have a drawing for a weekend for two at Tassajara Retreat Center in California. The last bit was not true. Doug, would you like to speak about volunteerism and our coming up work day, volunteer day? This is Doug. He is our esteemed volunteer coordinator.
Morning, Sangha. You can also think of me as the other Doug. Doug Pullen is Doug, and I'm the other Doug. It's a lot less pressure. And I always have the wrong glasses, Robert.
You do?
I have cataracts, and they apparently kind of have taken my eyes back to about 40 years old. So
Oh.
it's actually better without the glasses, except I can't read. So
I see. How long till you get the cataracts at?
2 months.
2 months.
And boy, then you'll see something. I'll see something. So did you hear about the Buddhist coroner? He got fired. He kept writing down birth as the cause of death. Thank you. We have a potluck today, and you can probably smell some, I think that's vegetarian lasagna back there. There's wonderful food. Please come on back. Even if you didn't bring anything, there's enough for everybody. So hoping to bring that back probably on a monthly basis, but looking forward to it today. Also on Earth Day, which is 3 weeks from yesterday, the 22nd of April, we are having a Karma Yoga Day. And that really means like a work party. Inside and out, we're going to make this place spotless. 15 people have already signed up on Sign Up Genius. Thank you. You are rock stars, and I don't mean soft rock like Air Supply and Chuck Mangione, but like the second wave of the British invasion, real hard rock, the Who and Led Zeppelin. That's how you rock. Thank you. And Sign Up Genius is nice if you can do that, but you can all come. You can bring neighbors on the 22nd, 9 to noon, indoors or outdoors. If you're going to work outdoors, bring gloves and tools. And then there will be pizza afterwards.
Good pizza.
Good pizza. Excellent. So that's all I have. Thank you.
Thanks, Doug. Somebody want to do a Donna talk? Oh, look, it's Trina. Not a Donna talk? Why are you're acting as though you're sneaking up on me? Yeah.
I am.
It's on, I think.
Okay, great. Hi, everyone. Good morning. So I want to share that our DEI committee has the intention to establish or reestablish a Dharma youth program. And so I see there's some youth here like Noel and Noel's kids. And so we're really interested in collaborating with parents here who are interested so that we can form a Dharma youth program for the future generation of our center and create a space where not just individuals come to practice, but also families where, you know, we can have multiple generation of Buddhist practitioners from those of gray color hair and black color hair and all sorts of color hair. And so I'm really excited to see that we have more young people coming in. And I saw Cole, you had someone come in like a Sunday or two ago too. Your son, great. So please connect with me. I'd love to have your input and collaboration so we can bring this community into our household to our kids. So thank you.
How about Donna?
Donna.
Since you're here.
The movie. Is it the 29th? I don't have that my calendar. Okay. So we also have the DEI committee is also hosting a movie night. It's going to be, we're going to play the movie here in person. We're still deciding whether we'll have it on Zoom or not, but definitely will be in person. And it's about the Dharma brothers. So it's the transformative experience that these men in prison had when they undertook the training of Vipassana, of mindfulness meditation. So it's going to be a really wonderful movie. There will be a registration online a suggested donation of, is it $15, something like that? Yes, and so everything will be posted online, and be on the lookout because it will also be in the DEI digest as well. And the date for that is April 29th at 6 p.m. In the Dana talk. Yay.
Hi,
Hello, KB.
how are you?
Welcome home.
Thank you very much.
Mm.
I'm going to do the Donna talk today because I think it was about 5 years ago now. COVID is very confusing. I can't judge how long that was, but about 5 years ago in August, I was so intrigued by the sign that said Insight Meditation, and I decided I'm gonna stop by there. I had very little, no religious experience at all. I had a little bit of an introduction from a friend to Buddhism, and I was like a frazzled, nerves sticking out, ball flying around, crazy. Not that I have changed that much, but I've tried. Because I work on my hobby is to try to fix the world, climate. No, I'm serious. I actually still believe that. So, and environmentalism was, I work really, really hard on it, but it's an extremely depressing thing. And it was killing me. It was starting to kill me. So I walked in here and it just happened to be the first Sunday of the month. And it just happened that I arrived an hour early. And I'm at the door and there's no one there. And then all of a sudden someone comes running through going, oh, you're here for Robert, and pulls me through this room and sends me in the back. And I'm back there not knowing exactly what's happening. And in he walks with, and he says, I'm painting my house. You got to see this. And he starts showing me this stuff. And I'm like, oh my God, what has happened? Where am I? What's going on? And then he sits down in the back with me and two other people who is calmly, lovely people, sit down calmly and carefully. And I'm like, and he proceeds to blow my fucking mind. I literally, they say your jaw, you have to pick your jaw up off the floor. By the time he got to the point of what we're trying to teach you here with meditation is to be able to take that tiny moment between when you want to react, recognize, and then choose. And I was dumb. I was speechless. I have literally been coming here every single Sunday since. I mean, except for the ones when I'm out of town. I just started coming that day. It was here. It was home. And that day I called and I started my monthly donations, sir. See, you didn't think I was getting there, did you?
No, I had faith you would come to the point.
Yes, sir. So I started giving my,
I'm going to interrupt you.
yes,
KB runs a traveling theater that sends theater all around the country.
yes, for young people.
Five groups.
We only have 3 now. We're surviving on 3. We're coming back from COVID, sorta.
And
But
she's quite an actress. You might have.
anyway, so what I was trying to say until you interrupted me
Pardon.
with your sweetness is that I don't know how I would manage without this place anymore. And I knew the minute I walked in, this place was extraordinary and that this man was extraordinary. And I can't do without it anymore. It's family. It's saving my life. I'm still able to go and do what I do because of this place. Otherwise, I may have had to give it up. So I just want to say your money is not wasted. It It is so valuable, and I give $25 a month. That's all I can afford, which is $300 a year. It's the best money I spend, and as soon as I make more, I would like to up my donation. But I'm telling you, this place it's seeds, it's a garden, and I encourage you to contribute.
Not bad. Not bad. Mhm. Wow. You never cease to amaze me. We recently did a major remodel on this building. Seismic upgrade. And we put in, actually, I'm going to whine for a moment. 20 years ago, when we bought the building, we put in brand new doors downstairs, beautiful fir doors that I stained. And then they serve very well. But then the code now says the doors need to be 3 feet, even though there's no wheelchair access downstairs. These doors are new, and there was a lot about wheelchair access. And however, so the city required us to change the doors downstairs, which overall turned out to cost $24,000. It's amazing. But I had stained the first 3 and I was dying. And KB took over and finished the rest. It was a big thing. There's lots of volunteering here. The whole place has been done really through volunteering. So thanks. Thanks to everybody. Please raise your hand if you do any volunteering at PMC. Yeah, it's a lot. Great. Okay, I am going to pass the microphone on to Jim. And just so any of you that are here for the first time, Jim's going to do some movement, and then I'll come back and I have a few things I want to say. And then if you go through those doors, there will be a potluck and some very fine people with whom to speak. So pull this off.
All right, you, oh. Gotta find the pocket, okay. Where's the, could you put that on?
Yes.
Spotlight, whatever.
This way?
Oh, I don't know.
That'll work fine over there. He'll move the mic.
Oh, there, all right, now I think I'm in the middle, all right. Am I in the middle? You don't know. The camera knows. That's the only one that knows. Thank you. So we are here to develop mindfulness and to develop a kind-hearted approach to our bodies. We put our bodies through all sorts of things all day long, sticking them in front of computers, in front of windshields with dangerous cars underneath us, and yeah, we submit our bodies to all sorts of trauma and stress all day. It's not serious trauma most days, but some days it's pretty bad. And through Qigong, I've learned that I can pay back and give back a little soothing kindness to my body. So I stand with my feet parallel, and well, today I'll experiment. If I don't stand with my feet parallel, I stick my toes out 45 degrees, then there's a little bit of tension in my hips. But if I bring my toes around so that they're pointing straight forward, then there's a little more release and relaxation in my hips. And if I bounce a little bit and sink into the knees and then straighten, that creates a flow of energy. If I do that 2 or 3 more times, just up and down and up and down, and then pause and bring my attention to the legs, they feel different. Having moved, something has started, something has, some energetic something is starting to develop. So I'll do it some more. And I'll add my arms. I'll let my arms come up to shoulder height and then release. And I have a frog in my throat, which is going to continue to irritate me. Not seriously, just a little bit. Actually, it's probably due to the movement that I'm doing. It's how my body's clearing itself out. There's a wisdom to the body. And when we do simple round movements, there's a healing that goes through the body, a wave of healing. And sometimes it has to clear out the windpipe. Okay, so then we come to standing still, which is sort of a oxymoron, where we don't stand still. There's always some kind of movement in the body. It's more subtle when we say let's stand still, but it's movement. I'm breathing, and your body's breathing. I can be pretty certain of that. And in order to breathe, we have to expand the rib cage, contract and expand the diaphragm. So there's movement when we're standing still. If we bring our hands in front of our hearts and let the palms face each other, we can move forward into the toes and back into the heels and feel the movement across the bottoms of the feet. We can massage the feet. And then we can massage the arms and the shoulders by opening the hands, letting the palms face each other, coming back close. They don't have to touch, just open. But that kind of movement is a gift to the body that opens the joints in the elbows, the wrists, the shoulders, all the tendons that support these appendages at the end of our arms. So the hands separate, but they don't forget one another. They know how to get back close in, and you can almost feel the energy flow from one hand to the other. And you open. And when one part of your body starts moving in a nice rhythmic pattern, waves of energy move through the whole body. We can do it sideways, or we can bring our hands together in front of the heart again, and then just take one hand and reach up towards the ceiling, and the other hand push down along the midline of your body. Bring your lower hand and press down towards the earth. Just pressing and releasing, and pressing and releasing. Can you feel the energetic flow? And then switch. Drop one hand down the center line, move one hand up above the crown and push a little bit, and then release, and push a little bit and release. And these waves of energy move as the hands separate, the arms change position, the shoulders change position, the ribs are different from one side to the other, and our breath continues. And then relaxing the arms, letting them just hang from the shoulders, sink into the knees, but let's not bounce. We'll just sink and hold. We're not still, but we're getting close to still. And still is not a worthy goal. We don't have to face that till we die. So let's just keep some movement going. But there's this sensation of energy flowing through the body. We can stimulate it more with opening the arms out to the side and overhead and then down the center line. We just use the center line as an organizing focal point. Up and over and then down the center line. Out to the side. Changes the shape of the rib cage a little bit on the way up and changes it on the way down. Opens the shoulder socket on the way up, changes it on the way down. There's movement within the area of the collarbone, the shoulders, the neck. We know we're moving from the sensations inside the shoulders, inside the collarbone area, inside the neck. And if you do lots of different Qigong in order to keep all of it straight in your mind, you give all kinds of nicknames to all the different things and push and pull and apple, do things with the horse's tail and, brushing the knee and all this kind of stuff. The words aren't important. It's being aware of the movement of all these amazing ligaments and muscles and bones and nerves standing almost still. We can place the awareness on a particular point, like the bottoms of the feet, shift the weight to one leg and relax the other one, shift across to the other side. And the awareness moves through the body to where the sensations become stronger, become clearer. And moving back and forth, we develop more concentration, more mindfulness of the interior sensations of the body, and we heal each other by doing it together. All right, thank you very much. And I'll be here on the 15th of this month to do a half-day retreat with Qigong. So you're welcome to join me then.
May I make an invitation? No, it's all right.
Actually, the people online can't hear you. Leaves out 50 people if you don't use the mic. You use this mic.
All right.
And come over this side, you can be seen. But 1, 2, 3.
No pain. I want to share and invite something both beautiful and devastating at the same time. The little boy that was with me, that's my son, Phoenix Alexander. If anyone has seen the building on Alberta and MLK, it's a mural of our son, and it was vandalized with a little bit of racism, if there can ever be a tiny bit. But the invitation to my new family and also the beauty is I got a visitor from Anne who just came to put hands on me and just to give my family some love. They also hit Kason's Meats, which is across the street, which is the other Black-owned business. So we know that it was highly intentional. But the beautiful ask is it just so happens that April 11th is our first community combination of Race Talks and Exit the Maze, which is my nonprofit, Exiting the Maze of Racism, on April 11th at Kennedy School. We're going to be talking about racism and colorism in the arts and having a conversation with love and gratitude healing. And I want to invite you. So this isn't about angst, it's really about joy. And it just so happens that the event was already scheduled to talk about racism, colorism. From an artist perspective, it's a conversation within the diaspora of artists who are all amazing and gifted. And it's a communication, a dialogue with love. And how are we as a community going to help each other, aid each other, and invest in each other with the changes that are so necessary, especially in our city. And that's all. I just wanted to, gratefully and just say thank you. Like, I needed to be here today. When you have the need to walk out of your own space, out of just energetic discomfort, and that the world is so beautiful too. And I think so many of you add so much beauty to the world. That's all.
Thank you.
Sure. So where you want to look is Race Talks. It's amazing. My cousin, Dr. Shana Pomerantz, runs that organization, and it's been in Portland for about 13 years. And my nonprofit is exitthemaze.org. But if you look up Race Talks here in Portland, it's all over the web. And it just so happened that this happened, right before this event. And we're going to battle this with more love. And thank you for fueling my tank so I can do that. But it's Race Talks, Portland.
Thank you.
Please, it's funny. Please join me in this little chant. We'll do it for a minute or two. We'll end with a gong. And it's a chant that's accompanied by, maybe we could use our hands even. But maybe pat your body or stroke your face or just do it from the inside and use the words as an inspiration to actually be here. I am alive. 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 It's true, isn't it? Being alive is a highly vulnerable position. It's almost nothing but vulnerable. I found this arrow, amazingly enough, in the backyard one day, stuck in the ground quite a ways. Hmm. That's an odd thing to be doing. But it's not a super pointy one, but still. And I thought it was a gift, because there's a simile or a story from the Buddha that's of great importance and a lot of help. It's the two arrow simile, the simile of the arrows. And attributed to the Buddha, what if, oh friends, I had been shot with an arrow? Would this be difficult? Would this be painful? Probably yes. Not probably, for sure, yes. It's funny, I can sort of manipulate it a little bit. An odd thing. What's the arrow? The arrow is the vicissitudes of life. Good word, huh? Vicissitudes. Actually, I could use my favorite English word with it. The ubiquitous vicissitudes. That's cool. So what are they? Praise and blame, gain and loss, fame, disrepute, success and failure, all these polarities, health and sickness, success, failure. The relationship is going really well and the relationship is filled with anguish. Finally, we got pregnant. The baby didn't make it. Or think about it. The Buddha made a list, dukkha, birth, sickness, old age, decay, and death. These are our common heritage. Birth, sickness, old age, decay, and death. And then there's another 4 categories that are part of the standard description. Having experiences that I don't want. Have you had any of those yet today? Not having the experiences I do want. How about some of those? being with person or persons I don't want to be with, or not being with the beloved, not being with someone you want to be with. There's a lot of that in life, isn't there? I was watching, I was in the supermarket yesterday. I was watching a father with a little boy, and they clearly loved each other. And they were at that stage, I don't know, how was the older boy, 3.5 maybe? But they were just having this love fest as they went through the supermarket. Playful. They weren't in a hurry. It wasn't one of those times when you got to get home and make dinner. And I remembered that. And I have 2 kids. We're doing fine. But they don't always text back. It's painful, right? They have lives of their own. Not like that. Another memory just popped in. I don't know, my son was 9, maybe less. And we were walking out of a store, and he stuck his head under my arm, like, and pulled my arm, and then started yelling, "Help! Help!" Which, and I guess I'm going to take a moment to do a public service announcement. It was when my children were little that there was one person, a man, who was not making it very well in the world. And he had this idea that he could create money for himself by getting the milk companies to put the pictures of abducted children on milk cartons. And he created terror. Our culture is still full of it, because it is true that children are abducted sometimes, but 99.5 or something like that % of the children on the milk cartons were taken by non-custodial parents. It's divorce struggles. They weren't abducted. I mean, maybe, it wasn't this whole thing. I carried a whistle when my kids were little, in case they disappeared in a store, and I could start whistling and close the store. It's a whole paranoid thing that we've done. That's my public service announcement. So, there's lots of arrows. I was really active yesterday. Got a carpet cleaner and did a lot, and had a challenging night. Sleep was disturbed last night. Getting up this morning was hard. It's difficult. There's a book, a really wonderful book called, it's by Scott Peck, The Road Less Traveled. The first line says, life is difficult. And we don't like to believe that. We like to think that if we, when I finally get my degree, or when I find the right person, or we get the right party in power, or the right something, then I'm going to feel happy all the time. And it doesn't happen that way. So there's this constant stream of experiences, and we have expectations that we want them to not be that way. Among them is, I don't want to be in pain. right? We're programmed deeply as sentient beings to get away from pain. Pain is, it's essential that we get away from pain. And also what I want is pleasure. And so we are programmed to move toward pleasure. But so often we can't pull it off. We can't, we wind up having to stay with what exists. And then something else happens, which is the second arrow. And then the story says, well, watch this, I can actually do something cool here. The story asks, the Buddha asks, and what if, oh friends, I were struck by another arrow? Would that make even more pain and suffering? Yes. And so he said, then the second arrow is optional. And in our lives, the second arrow is what the mind does in reaction to disappointment, in reaction to pleasure and pain. And the entirety of the Buddhist teaching, of the mystical teaching, is about what to do with this. And what the Buddha said was, take it out. Take out the second arrow. You're still going to have toothaches. You're still going to get old. You're still going to have disappointments and fears and so on, because that's the name of the game. But all this extra, this freaking out about things, this making things worse because of our reactivity, that's all optional. And one of the ways this has become popularized is that pain is inevitable. Suffering isn't. That's a big thing to say, right? This is one of those moments for me in here that it's work to find words. Sometimes the words are just, but in this instance, when there's a pause, the mind is just going blank, silent. Which is also useful because then I can just pause and see what the next thing that wants to be said is. It's a little scary though. What if nothing comes? In order to not react to everything, to not react to get rid of the unpleasant, to seek the pleasant, to have that, the gap between stimulus and response that KB spoke of. That takes practice. And practice can, in fact, make a huge difference in it. Just remembered a story that I had a wonderful dog named Budo. He ran in this room 150 times. We'd come by and go on my way to the restroom. He was always with me at work, and we chased each other around this room a lot. He was a miniature husky. He was my pal. But I did an experiment with him to see about his reactivity. We would go to the back door and I'd let him out in the backyard and he would leave the back door like a rocket because he knew there were squirrels out there. And I decided I would see if he could be trained to not chase the squirrels. And so I would get to the door and I'd sit down with him. I did this a bunch of times actually to see. And I told him, Buddha, it's bad karma for you to chase the squirrel. And I know you are not playing. This is not a game when dogs chase squirrels. If they catch the squirrel is dead meat. It happened a time or two. So I told him, don't chase the squirrel. Open the door, be gone. He'd see the squirrel. He had no choice. When someone says something mean or nasty to you, and it provokes one of your wounds that you've had in your life, maybe a childhood wound. Have you got time to pause and decide, do I want to chase this squirrel or not? Speaking of which, have you folks seen the movie Up? You have. Have you folks seen the movie Up? If you've not, it's must-see movie. In it, there's a dog who in the midst of conversation will say, squirrel. We're like that. The arrow comes in and the reactivity happens and bam, we fire back. And so we create these messes in our lives. But it is possible. And the meditation really affects this quickly in our lives. It's possible to actually create and expand the space between stimulus and response. It's possible to notice the stimulus come in, and then it's as though time expands. You have a lot more time before you even think something or say something or act in some way. Now, there's another piece to this I want to see if I can describe. What if in this incoming stimulus, conditioned response, liking, disliking, story, the whole story I have of my life. What if this entire process of the dukkha, the pain, and the reactivity, what if it were all lit up really brightly? Instead of being unconscious and not noticed, what if the whole thing were like in slow motion? And we realized more and more that I'm not this. I'm also not this. In fact, I am that which knows it. All of a sudden, we're free. Like right now, sitting here, please become aware that you're seeing. Interesting, isn't it? How did you do that? Or please become aware of the index finger of your right hand. How did you do that? Nobody knows, of course. Or hearing. Notice the sound just changed in the room. Please become aware of someplace in your body where there's pain. Maybe it's a chronic pain. Maybe it's temporary, short thing. Is there liking and disliking of it? Is there disliking of its pain? If you identify with that disliking, Like, I don't like this. You're suffering. This is active. If it's just pain, it's just pain. Please become aware of someplace in your body that's itchy. This is almost not nice to do. Right? Find an itch and let it get bigger. They will sometimes. Huh. So there's an itch, there's a sensation. The word itch is added. If there's disliking of it, notice that there's, and if there's identification with it, then there's suffering. What if it's possible for the suffering to stop? I was with my grandkids yesterday watching them suffer. God, it's amazing. Babies are actually powerful teachers this way. You can see from 1 minute to the next, they can go from bliss to agony on the basis of some satisfied or not satisfied desire. I just had a flash of gratitude and awe in a way. 2,600 years ago, the Buddha talked about the Buddha who was actually a person, and he was an ordinary person. He wasn't the one and only son of or anything like that. He was just an ordinary guy who got sensitized to the fact of suffering and then went on a spiritual quest and devoted his life to that, and then he discovered the way home. Imagine that. And then he spent 40 some years teaching it so that other people could have the same experience. But I just had this flash that it's never occurred to me before. If he were watching this, he'd be kind of glad. Wow. He might say, who would have thunk it? I thought that thing about the two arrows here, they're 2,600 years from now, they're still talking about that story. But it's quite a story. So we do this remarkable thing we call it meditation, and we stop, we sit down, we sit still, and then we cultivate mindfulness. What is mindfulness? And we have our definitions, right? As mindfulness is the capacity of the mind to be aware of what's happening in the present moment, inside, outside. And we often add it's non-judgmental, it's awareness. And we can cultivate it, we say. What a strange thing. Please conjure up an image of your kitchen sink and be aware of it. Be aware of that, conjuring that up. How do you do that? Is that not the weirdest thing? Or remember, think back over your lifetime maybe and conjure up an image of one of the most wonderful things you ever experienced. It would be touching. How do you do that? Where does that happen? So we develop, we do this very, very simple practice. We sit down, we sit comfortably upright, we choose a primary object, perhaps breathing, and then we develop some concentration. Every time the mind comes back and gloms on again or takes as its object the breath, it strengthens the capacity to do that. And we can really develop concentration way beyond what Western psychology even fantasizes. And then every time the mind wanders and then wakes up, we develop more of the capacity of that, to the point that, or to the, well, and we do that in lots of different ways. We do it in sitting meditation. We do it when we're walking. We do it when we're driving. We do it more and more in our lives. We do it when we're feeling healthy, when we're feeling sick. We do it when we're in relationship and when we're not. So we get pretty focused, if we're wise, on developing this mindfulness. And then something really remarkable happens. If it's not already remarkable enough. The mindfulness starts to become continuous. Ruth Denison says, Dalink said, Ruth, who was my teacher for 44 years, that's her picture over there. Dalink, once you have the Dharma, you can no longer get away with yourself. Because you start noticing thoughts and impulses before you act. And then you may still act, but you start noticing it. And you're noticing it, there's no will involved. It's just that awareness is becomes your constant, it's even wrong to say your constant companion. One realizes that one is not, and that awareness is what one is. There's a little experiment to carry out. It's very simple. Let's do it. Sit here and please bring awareness into the sensations of breathing and keep it there. Bit difficult, isn't it? The mind wanders off. And then something pretty darn remarkable happens. Awareness comes in. And we like to say, we have a story that we do. We say, I just woke myself up. Is that really true? I think what's really true is that the sense of I is here, and it has this sense that it's focusing on the breath, and then it completely dissolves. And then there's wandering mind and no mindfulness. And then out of nowhere, boink, suddenly there's awareness again. And I would like to propose, and this is straight out of the Buddha's teachings, nobody cultivated, nobody created that mindfulness, that awareness. It's the awareness of the universe. And it's always there. But we fall down these little rabbit holes. But remarkably, and it is, I mean, miraculously, we have a whole strategies of meditation which wake us up to that reality, so that we begin to get some influence in what really happens in our lives. So as KB mentioned, the stimulus and the response, and there's a space in between them. And one of the fruits of this is that as the vicissitudes of life come rolling through, we suffer less and less. Because we realize what they are. They are the blossoming of karmic streams, whatever we want to call them. And we don't have to react to them. Sometimes there's a lot of pain and there's just that. Sometimes there's pleasure and there's that. But there's nothing, nothing gets, nothing, things are much less frozen or much less fixed. And how do we do this? Well, we stop. We stop and really pay attention. We discover it's most often nobody's fault that we're feeling this or that, good or positive thing, painful or pleasant thing. It's just what's being presented in the moment. So again, I want to invite you to let your eyes open now and be aware of the mystery of seeing. See. So I'm going to practice being enlightened right now. Are you ready? Watch this. Ah. Ah. But I still hurt. Yes. But I still have pleasure and pain. Yes. The mind even worries some. Yes. Well, now I'm having doubt. Yes. Oh, I want my meditation to be like it was that time. Yes. Oh, now it's perfect. This is the way I've always, and not only that, my relationship is so great right now. We're getting along so well. And yes. And oh, that chronic pain in my back is really less. Yes. Oh, I overdid it with the floor washer yesterday and the pain is back. Yes. Because that doesn't go away. What changes or what wakes up is being awake. Oh, it's like this. There's this part of the story of the Buddha is that when he died, they say he entered parinirvana. I mean, these stories. Well, what might that mean? Well, there's this. Being born as a human is inherently challenging. But what if you were so clear about it all that you stopped being born moment to moment? Then this would go away too. Not that that's of great importance right here, because that's not where we are. There's something else that would like to be said, and I hope it will come as words. The more that we can comfort and awaken to the second arrow, the more we can get along with each other. Because to be able to tolerate and accept what's happening in us is love. And if we can do that with ourselves, and if we wind up also lowering our demands and expectations of the other person, because they can't make us feel great anyway. It's not their job. All they can do is be themselves. So there are profound relationship effects of being a meditator, just as there are profound physiologic effects. And then there's this freedom, this there's this, just being here. Just being here. I am alive. You're alive. Which is very different from I'm going to be alive when when this happens, when that happens, when the election goes the right way, then I'll be alive. When my partner is willing to do this or that or won't do this or that, then I'll be. When my child texts me back, then I'll be. Funny. Okay, I think I want to stop there, and we have a few minutes. Oh yeah, impressive. If you have any comment or question you'd like to ask or say, if you just raise your hand, someone, Monty, would you be our runner? Someone will bring you the microphone, and please say your name and say what you'd like to say. And those of you on the Zoom, I'm sorry we have not gotten the talking from your end down yet, but you could text and maybe Dan will notice it. So anybody, please.
Hi, I'm Denise. I love this story. The two arrows. I have this little shrine in my meditation room, and I have this arm that comes out, and I have two arrows in it. And it's to remind me I can pick one or two. I don't have to take both of them. But I like the symbolism of that hand holding it out because it is my choice. I think a lot about, that the first arrow happens to all of us all the time, but we're still here. So evidently that first arrow is not fatal, which is amazing. It's a flesh wound. You're still here. First arrow doesn't kill you. The second arrow, be flesh wound, but I'm in charge of the second arrow, and I can make that second arrow lethal anytime I want. And I've had to learn how to think about those and think of how I'm giving that arrow. Why am I even touching the arrow? Put the arrow back down. It doesn't have to be this way. It's my, the first arrow is just a thing that happens. This arrow is what, how much bigness I give the first arrow. Does that make sense? And Four Noble Truths and the two arrows have just totally pivoted my life in a whole different direction. And I'm very grateful for that.
Great. The second arrow is the sense of self. I like it, I don't like it. I like it, I don't like it. It shouldn't be like this.
Robert, I'm Francine. Hello, all. And
Have to talk into the top of the mic.
Francine, welcome. The new young lady here. Robert, you talked sometime about the not self or the no self.
Uh-huh.
And it was only in this morning's conversation that I had because I've never understood what the no self exactly meant. But I'd like some more words about that in terms of that awakened moment, because for me, it's moment to moment. say some more words about that because I don't know what the not self is.
Ajahn Chah said about the teaching on anatta, which literally translates as no soul. He said, don't think about it. It will blow up your head. There's no way to make sense of that with the rational mind. However, one of the reasons that we develop meditation practice is that it's an experiment to see, can I find myself? Where am I? What part of this thing am I? And I think a fifth class with a group, some of you are in it, on the Satipatthana Sutra, we're having 13 weeks, 2 hours a week, and we're reading Joseph Goldstein's book. And it's an incredible manual of the quest, the scientific quest. What am I? And so we pay attention to the body very deeply. We break it into its 32 parts: hair of the head, hair of the body, nails, teeth, skin, blood, and so on. Where am I in this? Okay. Then we pay attention to moving around, walking. And then we notice that there are feelings, pleasant, unpleasant, and neutral. When the sense doors meet their objects, there's this liking and disliking all the time. Am I in that? Well, it keeps changing. And then we move on to mental states, mind states, expanded, contracted, filled with lust, filled with generosity. Well, they're unstable too. And then we move on to the huge category of mental phenomena, and we have the 5 hindrances and the 7 enlightenment factors and the 14 of this and 18 of that. And we're doing it all with one intention, which is, where am I? Where is this angel that dances on the head of the pin? Where is that? Not what fantasy can I create of it, but can I find myself? And in fact, we keep failing. And we keep failing because there isn't one. And it's one thing to say that. It's then another thing to have the experience. And there's a very simple experience. We're all experiencing this all the time. It's just we have such a strong belief that it's not true that we can't see it. So here's the experience. Well, actually, it's even sooner than that. Please notice your body sitting here and make the decision to keep awareness on the breath. Probably by now, the mind has wandered. Well, hop to it. You have a self and it's in control. So control it, damn it. The self that makes the decision, the sense of self that makes the decisions, the breath vanishes. It was never there in the first place. Now that's happening right now. And there's another quite impressive experience, which you don't have to meditate a long time for this to happen, a very long time. You're sitting in meditation, and in fact, awareness stays in the breath, with breath. And maybe it does that for 50 breaths or 100 breaths. And the mind gets very quiet, right? There's nothing happening. It's not like nothing is happening, but no content is happening. And then I've got this thing on my to-do list. I really want to do that. And it's observed that it comes out of nowhere. There was no intention to think that thought. It just thought itself. And not only that, it then vanishes. Now, there's a theory about it. There's a description of that experience, which is, well, it's not like there is a no self. It's that we can't find a self because it's all a process. And given everything we know, remember that amazing creation myth that we know, that there was nothing, and then there was the Big Bang, and then there was everything. There was a universe. That's pretty strange, right? You know, we think, well, you know, those primitive people have their stories of, you know, Spider Woman appeared, or Spider Mother, or it's equally ours is equally fantastic, but we call it science. But since that moment, there has been nothing but change, right? The whole thing is galaxies and planets. Why would we be any different? We're part of that. We are that. So anyway, I'm going on about it. Is that comforting at all? Don't try to think about it. Just observe. Can I find a self? And the teaching on Tao is also very useful. It can be so comforting because you know how wonderful it feels to have it all together. I mean, every now and then, all the pieces come together, and you know, I haven't done much gambling, but it's all tung, 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 tung. It all lines up, and you win the prize. So some morning you wake up and you feel great, and your digestion is great, and and you're getting along in your relationship, and work is going well, and it's just fantastic, and you're on your game. And the next day, for reasons that we have no idea, you can hardly figure out how to drive, right? And your self-esteem is in the toilet, and then you wonder, what's wrong with me? Well, why is this self so remarkably unstable? It's because it isn't. There's a structure that keeps reforming, but there's nothing solid in it. And that can be very helpful too, when you can say, oh, this is me today. This is how I am today. How interesting. Oh, this is how I am today. I just looked over at you, Laura, and Laura and I are colleagues as well as friends, and she's the chair of the board, and it reminded me of our meetings, and you know, the things I commit to do and that you commit to do, and sometimes I am so efficient. I mean, I can look at my Trello, my project management software, and I can go through stuff just like, right? And there's other times when I can hardly find Trello. What's going on there? You recognize this? It's because the self is utterly unstable. And can we have mercy on ourselves and mercy on others? Because the whole thing, the fact that anything works is remarkable. Because everything is unstable, including this sense of I. Does that help? And when you find the mind trying to think about it, stop. Well, it's afternoon already. Anybody sitting with something that's pressing? take a moment to. That was one of the things I really was annoyed at Ruth about, Ruth Dennison, and also was very proud of her. She paid no attention to time at all. Well, oh yeah, let's make a circle. Please, thank you for coming. Without you, I would not get to play this role. And this role is quite a privilege to be able to play. Thank you, Jim. Let me just take this out in this direction. Thank you to the people who are running Zoom right now. Thank you to the people who are working in the power plants right now. There's a lot of people working. Thank you to the people who are in the gas transmission stations right now. These people live and work in very difficult places in order to keep the lights on here. Thank you to the workers who built Bonneville Dam. Thank you to their mothers who took care of them when they were babies. Thank you to the shoemaker who made the shoes. And so it goes. We're actually all utterly dependent on each other. Thank you to the farmers. Thank you to the sun and the rain and wind. Because that's what we are. We're all part of that. We're not separate from it. We're utterly dependent. Let's just close with the sound of the universe, the dial tone. The tone is Om. Om, and chanted it for a minute or so. And let's think of it as a blessing, carrying our blessing to all the world. And it can be a free Om, so you don't need to wait till I start or the person beside you start. Just be Oming. Om. 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 May all beings everywhere share in the merits of our practice. May our families, friends, colleagues, may those we cherish as our enemies share in the merits of our practice. We remember our interbeing. Thank you. Thank you to those of you who are here on Zoom. Take a peek at you for a minute. Hi. Oh, hello, Nicole. Haven't seen you in a long time. Nice. Hello, Karen. All right, everybody. Gonna go. Thanks for being here.